Der folgende podcast enthält Spoiler für Victoria. Du wirst gewarnt! The following podcast contains spoilers for Victoria. You have been warned!
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of KFR News Radio. This is your host, Glenjamin Button, along with your host, Miguel. I don't know what Magusto is in German, so what's up, guys? How you doing? Mike, my sweet, gentle giant, you friend of mine.
Yes.
How are you, you sexy lad?
I'm good, how are you?
Living the Vida Loca. How many times can I say that this year? Let's fucking go. Let's put up a tally. Ding, ding, ding. That's what I got.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I drank a lot of tea and now I'm hyper beyond belief.
I can tell.
Oh, my God.
So, to get rid of some of that energy to kind of bring you down to my level, I'm going to let you go first and tell me what you watch. Because I know that you've had a bit of a week.
Yeah, I got some catching up to do as far as the 2020 films goes, and I started it off this week with One Night in Miami, which, if you don't know, is in the aftermath of Cassius Clay's defeat of Sonny Liston in 1964. The boxer meets with Malcolm X, Sam Cooke, and Jim Brown to change the course of the history of the segregated South. And man, was this a killer movie!
Oh yeah, it's great.
The four men, obviously they're real men in real life, that this was a fictitious actual meeting, like this never actually happened.
Yeah.
But just like these four legends coming together and just that night, it was just so spectacular. And all the performances, man. Mm-hmm. I loved it. Yeah. I really did.
And it's directed by Regina King, Oscar-winning actress from If Beale Street Could Talk and other fantastic films. And she killed it. She, like, when I went into seeing it without knowing that she directed it.
Yeah.
And when I saw her name pop up, I was just, like, awestruck.
Yeah.
Like, just how talented. I mean, I knew she was talented with acting, but directing's a whole other animal, so.
Yeah, as you should have been awestruck, because that was actually a really fantastic film. And I can't wait to talk more about it down the line when we get there. After that, I watched the movie Run with Sarah Paulson. I really didn't know what to expect from this. I kind of had Carrie vibes just not watching it.
A little bit, yeah, I could see that.
And then watching it, I kind of did get Carrie vibes, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's the same. Well, I won't say it's the same, but it's like the same kind of plot.
Overprotective mother.
Yeah, overprotective mother, and I think the daughter. What was her name? It was Kira Allen.
Yeah.
She was awesome in it.
Oh yeah, and she's actually I don't know what condition she has, but she does actually need to use a wheelchair from time to time.
Yeah,
not completely. She can walk, but she
just needs the support more.
Yes, exactly. And I don't remember the condition, but just the representation in that alone is incredible.
Yeah, they were both. Sarah Paulson's great in everything. She was great in this. The movie was much better than I expected, for sure, even having those Carrie vibes. But, I mean, just the performances alone did a number on me, and I was like, thank God my mother's not like this. Thank God I'm not always drugged.
Yeah. Oh, spoiler alert, dude. Jesus.
With Tylenol. Anyway,
I might cut that part out just because it is a major spoiler.
Absolutely. And then after that, I watched What We Wanted, which is another film from the 2020s that I was recommended by Mike to watch. Did you watch this yet?
What? No. What is that? A foreign film?
Yeah.
I have not. I gave you a list of international films that have been kind of getting a lot of hype. I haven't gone through all of them myself, but I just knew in 2020 international film was probably the category that we're probably weakest in for our Stony Awards coming up, first annual Stony Awards. Yeah. If you haven't heard, we're having an award show.
Just so you know, we're having an award show.
Really
and it's going to be us.
Key, but we're gonna be dramatic as fuck about it.
So. Oh, absolutely. So yeah, What We Wanted is basically about this couple who is having a hard time having a child. So they're kind of getting away for a little bit and trying to go on a vacation to get that off their mind. And it's kind of like a struggle while on this vacation because they're kind of surrounded by people having kids in a way. and it's a nice movie. Like I like it, but it wasn't all that fantastic to really hold me in to like this is the most fantastic thing I've ever seen. But the performances were great, and I mean the story overall and just the struggle. I personally I don't know what it's like, but just the struggle of not being able to get something that you want is definitely heartbreaking for sure. And if this is a good movie for it. Moving on, after that, I watched The Invisible Man with Elizabeth Moss. I'll be honest, did not care to watch this movie ever. But then I got a lot of people were like, it's actually better than you would think. I'm like, yeah, okay. So I gave it a watch, and it was definitely a lot better than I thought it would be for sure. Elizabeth, she's another one of those actresses who was just fantastic almost in everything she's in.
That one came out back when theaters were still open before the pandemic really hit the United States, and it was one of the last movies I saw. I think I saw it the weekend before the shutdown, and I honestly was in the same boat where like it didn't interest me at all. Yeah. But then I went and saw it just for the hell of it, and it honestly blew me away with how good it was.
Yeah, for sure. It was really good. Especially the way they went about how he was invisible. It just wasn't like some stupid like he drank some chemical mixture or anything.
Like the original.
Yeah.
Like the actual book.
Yeah. So like definitely going into more practical reasoning as to why he is invisible and stuff like that. Or from the trailer, he's not actually dead, but whatever. Another spoiler, Silly Willy. Yeah, it was so much better than I thought. I liked it a lot. I wasn't in love with it still, but like it was definitely a good movie to pass the time, like a solid one, more than often than usually they would go. So there's that, and then I watched a animated film called Mortal Kombat Legends: Scorpion's Revenge. Definitely a fan service movie about basically the beginning or like the plot of MK9. For lingo terms, that's Mortal Kombat 9, the game, Silly Willies. And then after that, me and my buddies were on like a kick of like wanting to watch video game movies. So after that, we watched Dead Space Downfall, which was just merely the okayest movie I've seen, maybe worse. But other than that, I watched Victoria, and we'll get to that in a minute. Mike, what did you watch?
I had a freaking great week for film watching.
Okay.
I started off not so hot with Wonder Woman, and I know that's probably going to shock a lot of people. But other than the female-led superhero movie aspect, it kind of sucks. Gal Gadot is not a great actress in this. I haven't really seen her in anything else, so I could be wrong. But like in this, it's very.
You telling me you haven't seen the new Fast and Furious movies?
No, of course not.
Wow.
Again, just not my thing. But I was not impressed with this. David Thewlis being the bad guy. I don't care. It's been out for a long time. Most people listen to this have probably seen it. I was probably the last one. I saw that coming from a mile away. I was like, David Thewlis is in this. He's not just going to be that small part. He is the bad guy, and it's not actually Danny Houston like she thinks it is. So boom, like none of it was impressive. It was just like every other thing. That No Man's Land sequence that everyone raves about. Honestly,
would you
not impressed?
Yeah. Like I keep forgetting you watched the older. I keep forgetting you watched the older one, not the newer one.
Yeah, not 84. Yeah. The one that everyone loves. And again, if you love it, go for it. Don't listen to me. Like, yeah, it's your opinion. My opinion doesn't matter if you already love it.
It's definitely kind of like an illusion type of thing. Like, Wonder Woman's really only good because of its competition of other DC movies that it had to run against.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Like, other than that, it's an okay movie. Like, and that's.
I would argue that it's less than okay, but I also get that I'm not the audience.
Yeah.
It's just I will admit the majority of me hating this movie is the hype. The hype does not live up in the least. The No Man's Land sequence is one of the sloppiest shot sequences I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Again, just my opinion. I'm not trying to change your opinion, just trying to explain mine. There was nothing about it that I liked except for Chris Pine's character.
Yeah, I think them pushing so hard for like Ares being the villain really ruined it for me than anything. Or like it just they just dropped it right at the end of the movie. They were just like, oh, here's Ares.
That was David Thewlis, which I called when they first showed David Thewlis. I'm like, he seems like he's going to be the bad guy. And I like David Thewlis as Ares, but it's still just like I saw it coming. Like it was not shocking at all, then the payoff was not that much. But after that, my movie week got really good. I saw Judas and the Black Messiah with Danny Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield and Jesse Plemons. Saw that on Friday. Really solid film about the Black Panther Party. A lot of us white folk were kind of brainwashed into thinking the Black Panther Party was just all terrorist and no substance at all. And it's really like, and this isn't just the movie. I knew this going into the movie from doing research, that like a lot of what they did was in retaliation to being mistreated and everything. And the FBI, which fuck J. Edgar Hoover, the FBI, I'm hoping is better now. But when J. Edgar Hoover was the head of the FBI, was absolutely garbage and terrible, and not just to like enemies of the state, but to just citizens in general. This is a great film. The only complaint I have about it is that they are really mean to Lakeith Stanfield's character, which understandable, but at the same time he was in the exact same position. He was doing the exact same thing that the Black Panther Party was doing, just in a selfish way, not in a personal way. Okay. So like it's all about survival, and what he was doing was for survival, but then they make him look like the villain when the real villain, like massive villain, is the FBI and J. Edgar Hoover and everything. Yeah. It's not this guy. That's not condoning what he did, but they didn't give him any redeeming qualities, really. Okay. Which was, I felt was rude, especially when you find out about what happened to that guy afterwards. I won't say anything else, but it's shocking. And sad. Then I went and watched Saint Maud. It's an A24 horror film. The only bad thing about this is that because it is showing on Epix, the Epix logo came up before the A24 logo, and I thought that was blasphemy.
Disgusting.
Other than that, it is a really solid, terrifying, tension-building movie. It's more tense than it is scary, but because of the tension at the end, when the tension turns into horror, it really pays off. And I have not reacted to a horror movie like I have this one in a long time.
It sounds like sounds a lot like Hereditary in a way.
Yeah, in a way,
a whole lot of tension and then horror at the end.
Yep, essentially, yeah. I highly suggest Saint Maud. Then I watched Minari, which is another A24 film starring Stephen Yeun, and it is about a Korean family that comes from... The parents come from Korea, and the kids were born in the States, I believe. I don't know if they ever go over where the kids were born.
I think that's how it is.
Yeah, but they moved from California. This follows them after they moved from California to Arkansas to start a farm. And it is just a beautiful movie. For some of you may know, I am a soon-to-be dad, and nothing has made me more excited to be a dad than this movie. So it probably touched me a little differently than it will most people. Yeah. But I love this movie, and I'm going to actually have Glenn over tomorrow to watch it, because I bought a streaming ticket for it from A24, and we're going to watch the shit out of it.
We're going to do it real good.
We are. So that is Minari. Very, very high quality film, highly suggest it. Then I watched another film called La Llorona, not to be confused with The Curse of La Llorona from I think it was 2018 or 19 with Linda Cardellini. This is a Guatemalan film. It follows a military general who committed genocide and is convicted of genocide, but then that conviction is overturned because of corruption and shit like that. So it just follows him as he and his family are trapped in his house with protesters outside constantly. And he starts hearing a woman weeping, which, for those of you who know, is the legend of La Llorona, the crying woman.
The scary crying woman.
Yeah, who cries and curses your family. I watched this because it is another foreign international film that is getting a lot of attention. And
Yeah.
it's a solid film. I think it's a horror movie technically, but I think a lot of horror fans are not going to like it because it's very toned down.
Yeah.
It's more about the anxiety of having protesters outside your house constantly and just not being able to
Definitely
rest.
is a horror of its own for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And it does have horror elements like ghosts and everything, so it gets really interesting, but it's not a super in-your-face horror movie that I feel like a lot of horror fans watch. So that's La Llorona, which is just fun to say, La Llorona.
La Llorona.
And then I watched Victoria, which we'll get to in a minute. But Glenn, do you
Yes.
have any news?
I do have a little bit of news.
Ooh.
So, as most people obviously know, I am kind of a gamer big time.
What?
And then I am also a movie lover second time. And two of my worlds are currently colliding, which is awesome. The Last of Us, we already know that The Last of Us, I'm pretty sure I announced this before, is getting its own show on HBO. Bada bing, bada bo. But they finally just announced the casting for their lead roles for Joel and Ellie. For a lot of people are pissed. For a lot of people are really happy. I am one of those who is both, kind of. I'm not unhappy with it at all. Like, I know. So Joel, let's get with Joel first. They announced Pedro Pascal, which is fucking awesome. That guy, he can have every role he wants, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Especially since his best friend just got the role as Solid Snake. I'm sitting here with my fingers sucking both of them in my mouth right now. Like, let's go. I don't know what that means, but let's take it. So, if anybody has either heard of the story of The Last of Us, it's that at least the beginning. I don't know when this is taking place, but that beginning, at least 15 minutes of the game is going to take a lot of talent. And Pedro Pascal, we know he has a lot of talent. There's definitely a lot of other fan choices that would have been, I wouldn't necessarily say better, but on par with Pedro Pascal for sure. So regardless, I love this man. He can have whatever he wants, and, you know, in my opinion, he should.
Could he have your body?
Without a doubt. What are you asking me? Get away from me. And then the role of Ellie is kind of, this is why a lot of hate is kind of coming, because the role of Ellie is being played by Bella Ramsey. Now, she played a character on Game of Thrones, so both these actors are coming from Game of Thrones, and I kind of wish they stemmed away from shows they, you know, already own and have done. But also, I understand they already have that talent, you know, why not use it again? Bella Ramsey actually played a character, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, this is my bad for not actually researching it, but she played this girl who is kind of like a lord, I don't know the actual term, but she's like a lord of the north, and of like the bear, I'm sorry.
Lyanna or Liana? Marmont?
Yes, I think, yes.
No, that's it. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, Lyanna Mormont. She's a badass. So we know she's a badass in Game of Thrones. I think Ellie's badass, and she doesn't necessarily have the look, but she sure as hell is like the age of Ellie in the show, and we know she kind of has that badass talent. The problem is with this casting is we don't know much about anything else that she's done other than really that, and that's why a lot of people are pissed. I'm all for it. I could care less, honestly. I think she'll be fine. I think she'll be fine. A lot of people are just throwing fucking fits, but I think that casting's great. Obviously, we'll see in the future what everybody else is, such as like Joel's brother Tommy and maybe his Joel's daughter, if they actually do go that scene in the beginning of the game. Who knows? But that's my news. The casting of The Last of Us. I'm all for it. A little taken back by Bella a little bit, but again, I'm sure she'll be great. I just don't know what else she's done personally. So there's my news.
All right.
Mike, do you have anything?
I don't have anything. Thanks for asking.
Hey, listen, how's your day?
It's going good.
Wow, did you go to the bathroom recently? I just want to make sure you're healthy. Did you eat some food?
I'm healthy.
Should I call my grandmother?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Old people make me nervous.
I'm making myself nervous. Relax.
Yeah, so without any further ado, let's get into Victoria.
We have to do something. Please, can you help us?
Okay,
Yeah?
no problem. I'm the big driver.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Bei einer Privatbank, Limburg & Co. Wir wissen, dass in dem kleinen Tresor 50.000 Euro liegen. Und die will ich haben. Du schuldest mir was.
Machen wir nicht.
Hey,
Hey, wir machen safe. Hey, wir machen so. You don't have to do this. Really, you don't have to do this.
Sona, I want to go with you. The car is not going on! The car is not going on!
I'm not a bad guy, I did a bad thing, okay?
Victoria, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry.
I'm gonna take the baby because we need your help. Come on!
A young Spanish woman who has recently moved to Berlin finds her flirtation with a local guy turned potentially deadly as their night out with his friends reveals a dangerous secret. It is directed by Sebastian Schipper, written by Sebastian Schipper, Olivia Niergaard-Holm, and Elke Frederick Schultz. It's starring Leia Costa. I'm not sure which one. I'm pretty sure it's Leia. Who knows? Frederick Lau, Franz Rogowski, and Barak Yigit. If you listened to last week's episode, you already know this. If not, this is a film that was shot on one take, and not made to look like one take, one shot. It was literally 1 2 hour and 15-minute or however long it actually is without credits take from beginning to end. And
so not like 1917, not like Revenant, or
Birdman,
This is like a legit one shot
to the point where you can see mistakes in it, but it doesn't matter because it's still impressive as fuck. The reason I wanted to pick this is because I've heard about this movie for a long time, and it honestly looked very interesting, but I was also a little nervous to watch it just because, something like that can be boring.
Yeah.
If it is just one continuous shot. I admittedly probably didn't have faith in the director that I should have, because I thought this movie was incredible. Specifically the first hour and 45 minutes, and then it kind of dwindles towards the end in my opinion, but it's a very, very strong opening.
Yeah, it's a really good, solid, at least first half for sure.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, it does dwindle a bit, but as a whole, the movie is pretty solid for sure.
And in a way, it kind of needed to dwindle because you're constantly moving for 2 hours and 15 minutes that it gets to the point when you're finally not moving. It feels like you were stopped by a truck, like it just hit you head on. Yeah, it just feels so unsure. I think by far the best thing about this film is the main character, Victoria, played by Leia Costa. She is one of the most charming characters I've ever.
I was going to say, absolutely adorable. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And the film starts off with her dancing in a club, and she's surrounded by all these people, but you could tell that she's incredibly lonely. Like, she's just dancing. No one's really dancing with her. She tries to talk to people, but they don't really reciprocate her trying to start a conversation. She goes to the bar and gets a drink and tries to start a conversation with the bartender, and, he doesn't reciprocate.
Yeah, he's kind of just doing his job, and he's just like, you want a drink? Okay, yeah.
But with her being a Spanish woman in this new city, it's understandable why she's alone because there's no reason she wouldn't have friends. But it does this. It establishes her loneliness so well just by surrounding her by all those people and showing that none of them are really interacting with her.
Yeah.
And then because of that, it makes her desire to go with these 4 strange men who put up every single red flag there is.
Yeah.
To follow them and kind of get to know them in a way. And it was kind of genius to do that because it otherwise it could have just you've been like, why are you going with them? Like even it still is a little bit like that, but you understand why she does.
Yeah, it's just even like so like I only knew really the plot reading the synopsis of this movie.
Yeah.
I only knew that much going into it, and as like we were just talking about with this group of guys who were just waving red flags, I was fearing the worst for her, absolutely.
Yeah.
And they weren't really giving and I don't want to use this word just like, throwing it out there, but I was like so worried that just men, and how
Men
scary
suck.
they can be. Men suck. But
yeah.
I was like fearing the instant worst, like rape or something like that. And I was just not ready for it while also being prepared for it. I'm like, please don't be, because she's so goddamn charming and adorable. And I don't want this to, please save this sweet small child. Luckily,
Who is older than both of us.
Yeah, who is older than both of us. Hopefully it doesn't go that way for sure. And like I'm glad it didn't, because I don't know, maybe my mind's just fucked up, but when one woman walks away with like 4 men, it instantly is not great in my eyes.
Especially like if you weren't already aware of like the statistics around sexual harassment and rape and all that, after 2017, if you've seen this, you know like that's kind of what goes on in your head.
Yeah.
And on top of that, these guys are actively trying to steal a car. They're not hiding the fact that they're trying to steal a car.
Yeah.
They're not saying that they're trying to steal a car, but they're also, it's very obvious that they're trying to steal this car. And, it kind of goes to show maybe just how naive she is, or in a way, how bored she is with life that she's willing to go with these people who are trying to steal a car.
How adventurous she's willing to be.
Exactly.
Real quick.
And it kind of establishes in a way something that's brought up by one of the characters, the character Boxer, where just because people do bad things does not mean they're bad people. And I'm not talking like rape or murder or anything. Like the character Boxer, who is the initiator of all the crime in the film because he owes this gangster money
for protection in prison.
When they're on top of the roof, like kind of getting drunk and partying, he says that he's done bad things, but he's a good person. Then he asks her, like, do you think I'm a good person? Even though they just met, but it's like a very tender moment for these people that you, before that moment, were just like, don't go with them. What are you doing? Like, never go to a second location. Have you not listened to John Mulaney? Never go into a second location. But it makes it all very believable and it flows very well.
Yeah, it does. And like even the character Sonny, who is played by Frederick Lau, I'm not saying he's just as charming as Victoria, but like even like the connection that those two were having during after the bar sequence was cute, like it was nice and cute. So like you knew he had a good heart, but was in a situation that he couldn't help but be in at the moment, and then they reeled her into it, obviously. And
I think one thing is important with that, that other than like movements of what friends would do, he definitely keeps his distance. So after a while, like even you're letting your guard down to what his intentions are, because you understand, and that's not to hint that he becomes a bad person. He stays a relatively good person throughout. But like because he's keeping his distance and not being like touchy or like super creepy, it kind of makes you realize that she, after the initial hit of don't go with them, it's like okay, she's safe. Like these guys are a little rambunctious, but she is safe. And I felt that was very important for you to kind of buy into why she would go through with all this.
Yeah.
I think it's there's a lot of cool trivia about this film because it is one take. They actually what they shot. So in order to get the financing, Sebastian Schipper, the director, had to promise that he would also shoot a cut version.
Okay.
So they shot the cut version over the course of 10 days before this, and so that way that they would have a movie regardless of how the one takes went, which is very smart. But then they did 2 takes before the third take, which was their final one, and they weren't going to do another take after this one. Yeah, it only took 3 takes.
Wow.
And they weren't going to do another take if they didn't get it the third time.
Yeah.
So, like, the third take is the final take and would have been the final take. I think I read that the first take was a little too aggressive, and then the second take was not aggressive enough, or vice versa.
Yeah.
And he really wanted the balance, which is obviously seen in this third one. And there's a lot of other really cool trivia, but I wanted to not talk over it.
No, you're good. I actually wanted to look into that because, like, I wanted to know how many takes it took and see how how hard they actually pushed.
Yeah.
Because I mean, this movie really isn't without its mistakes, obviously, but like there was certain scenes where you can definitely hear the cameraman breathing because kind of a lot happens in like the parking garage, for instance.
Yeah, well, part of me wonders if that was intentional because it's always in high intense situations.
Yeah, I mean, it did get me curious because I thought it was Victoria at first, and then I realized that it was probably definitely the cameraman because he is moving a lot. It makes sense. I mean, obviously forgivable, like a forgivable thing, but like it did have me distracted for a hot second. There's obviously instances where you'll see the camera out of like a light because like this is like these aren't like a set. This is like a legit. These are buildings.
It's the streets of Berlin. Yeah.
So like,
I do think that breathing was intentional.
Yeah.
I don't think it worked probably as well as they thought it did because it did make me wonder that as well. But because I'm pretty sure all the actors had lavs on.
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain that was intentional.
Yeah.
But yeah, you see shadows obviously of the cameraman.
Yeah, like
it's just
easily forgivable things because overall the movie like was executed very well.
Oh yeah. There's the scene after they rob the bank when after they get the car started after it broke down and they drive away and she takes a wrong turn and they all start yelling at each other. Apparently, she legitimately forgot where she was supposed to go and turned down a road where the entire like remote crew was.
Ooh.
So that's why everyone was yelling at her.
I mean, it definitely worked for sure.
It added to the tension, but that was not supposed to be in the film at all.
Yeah.
Luckily, the cameraman was smart enough to like he panned the camera down at Sona's character, who was like hiding, but like. The reason they were all freaking out, which really added to the heightened "we just robbed a bank" energy, was because they were at that point. I think it was probably an hour and a half into the take.
Yeah,
and if they shot the crew, it would have ruined the take and just put an end to their one take movie. Because, like we said before, it was the final take. So there's little things like that just adding to the tension, like mistakes. Adding to the tension. Another mistake, granted, this could just be Sebastian Schipper taking the opportunity. The part where Sona and Victoria enter the cafe after they're on the roof, and he says this is a nice hotel in English, and then goes, "Oh, hotel, cafe, it's a nice cafe." He said that wasn't scripted. And like that was the only take he did, but he liked it so much because it alludes to them ending the film in a hotel.
At a hotel, yeah.
And I don't know how truthful that is or if it's something they talked about. He made it seem like it was unplanned. I fully believe that, but I could also see it being directors. I mean, I do this too. You kind of talk up the symbolism in your movie a little bit, but this film is just so full of energy. The making behind it is incredible, and I have very little negative things to say because being a one take film, all the mistakes are understandable.
Even the mistakes are they're forgivable mistakes easily. So like even though they're mistakes, they're great. They work in the film's benefit. So even if we did try to find something actually negative, this movie was charming. Like at least for like a good hour, and then it got uncharming, but you understand why, obviously, because shit's going down.
Oh yeah.
And then it dwells, further and further down this road that these guys took, and then, the ending kind of left you like, yeah, holy shit.
Yeah. Definitely.
At least my sweet baby's okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It really makes you aware, because it is one take, how quickly things can go south.
Yeah.
And none of it feels forced. The hardest, most emotional part of this film for me is when they're in the hotel, he turns on the news, and that's how they found out that Blinker died. He's when they're being chased by the police, Blinker gets shot, and he gets separated from the rest of the group. He's alive the last time they see him, but they have to run away to get away from the police.
Yeah. And
then he's in the hotel dying himself, and he turns on the news and says, "Oh, one of them has already died, and the other one is in custody." He's like, that part.
One's
hit
being
me.
sent to the hospital. Yeah.
Yeah, that being sent to the hospital, and that hit me real hard. Like, it was such an impactful scene, and in a way, it kind of, in my mind, signaled to him that he should just give up in a way.
Yeah.
Because there's no getting out of it for him, and to stop holding on, and it's just extremely powerful.
Yeah, especially since they knew they were still looking for two mid-20-year-olds, one female, one male. Like, they knew they were on the tail. So, like,
yeah,
it definitely impacts you pretty hard there at the end. And then the moment they have before the passing of Sonny is kind of, ooh, my heart. Like, I really wanted these two to get through it, but man was shot in the gut, and well, at least he had a nice satin sheet funeral while she took the money and sayonara, as they would say.
Definitely.
I like this movie a lot. It was great.
Me too.
And just the one take was just, kind of to top it all off, was just more motivational to like it more.
Agreed. That's all I gotta say.
Same.
All right, so that does it for our review of Victoria. That brings us to Le Jugement, or Der Judgment, whatever it is in German. I don't know. But since it was my pick, that means I go first. I think from our review, it kind of goes without saying that this is a shelf boy. It's
self-explanatory.
Self-explanatory.
Even if you're hearing this in Braille, like, it's just it's self-explanatory.
Yeah, it's just, the technical aspects of it alone would push it on the shelf. But on top of that, they have great performances and a great story. And all of the mistakes in it are understandable under the circumstances of the film. And I'm just glad that they did get a one take, because Sebastian Schipper said that the cut version of the film is unwatchable. Ooh. So...
especially if you've got a vision for your movie, it's hard to want anything else.
Absolutely,
for sure.
Yeah, so I'm assuming it's a shelf boy for you as well.
That's a shelf boy, baby.
That's a shelf boy. So Victoria makes it onto the shelf with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden and others that I don't feel like listening right now. But that brings us to our plugs for this week. It is my turn to go first. Okay. So last week I plugged the band Silent Planet because they had a virtual concert. This week I'm going to plug a virtual concert from my second favorite band, because this one is available on YouTube, unlike the previous one.
Luckily, I found a nice little trailer cut and I put it.
You
in
did,
there.
But just listen to Silent Planet in general. But Manchester Orchestra also had a virtual concert on Friday. Chester Orchestra.
Double feature of awesome right there.
Yeah. So that is available on YouTube. If you go to Manchester Orchestra's YouTube channel, it's also, the concert is just hidden, or has like subliminal messaging hidden throughout, where they're obviously going to release an album of some kind with the coolest name ever. Ooh. The Million Masks of God is the album.
That does sound awesome.
Granted, they haven't announced it. If it's not an album, they're being cruel for doing this.
Yeah.
Because that is a dope-ass album name.
Yeah.
But on their YouTube channel, if you watch, they have a concert that is the entirety of A Black Mile to the Surface from beginning to end. and that is on YouTube, on their YouTube channel, Manchester Orchestra. Check it out.
Somebody said it's unspeakable love. You don't believe I can speak. Well, it all even makes to me. The first of 1,000 to write on the wall. It's only beginning, it's swallowing us. So somebody said it's unspeakable love, it's amazing.
There it is. All right, so my plug is going to be one that we've kind of plugged a few times, and I think twice. You've done one, and I've done one. It's hard not to plug this because they're so goddamn funny. Ryan George just released another video. How fruits got their names.
Oh, I watched that one.
It's 4 minutes long and hilarious.
Yes.
I don't know how he comes up with this stuff. Man's so funny. And just literally the man could do a 2-hour movie and the whole cast could be him and I'd watch it just to hear him banter between himself, and that other guy who happens to be himself about just something random.
That's probably how he would explain his channel as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Ryan George on YouTube, How Fruits Got Their Names. It is the most recent video. Go give it a watch. It's hilarious.
All right, so as you all know, corporate now feels that the terms fruits and berries are a little too vague for our products, and we're going to need some more specific names for marketing purposes. Sure. Yeah, so Lucas, you had these things right here. What should we call these things? Yeah, I was thinking we could call those grapes. Grapes? Yeah, that sounds great to me. Okay, now who had this here? That was me. I was thinking strawberry. Strawberry. Kind of random, but has a nice ring to it. Now, what about this? Oh, yeah, that was me. I'm also gonna go with grapes. I like the sound of that. What? Yeah, these also grow in bunches, so they feel like pretty much the same thing. They're not. No, yeah, I think it does need its own name. Oh, okay. So then, grape. Not grape. Get your own thing. Grapefruit. I'd be good with that. No. Yeah, okay, that's different enough. It's not different enough. He's piggybacking off of my brand because his thing tastes so weird. Great.
All right, those are our plugs for this week. That brings us to our assignment for next week, which is Glenn's turn to pick. All right. Glenn, Drummond Button, what are we watching this week?
We are going to watch a film that is rated PG, an hour and 55 minutes long, and made in 1984. It is a romantic sci-fi named Starman.
How much English do you understand?
I understand greetings in 54 planet Earth languages.
Do you seriously expect me to tell the President that an alien has landed, assumed the identity of a dead house painter, and is presently out tooling around the countryside in a hopped-up 1977 Mustang?
You're not from around here, are you?
Think of what it would mean to talk to a being from a civilization like that. Think of what we could learn.
You don't understand. There isn't much time, please. He doesn't want to hurt anybody. Can't you just leave him alone?
What the hell ever happened to good manners? We invited him here.
So far to come, so much to do, so little time to fall in love. Look up. Company's coming. John Carpenter's Starman.
Starman. One word. Oh, with Jeff Bridges.
There you go. All right. Starman, an alien, takes the form of a young widow's husband and makes her drive him across the country. The government tries to stop them, is the synopsis. It is directed by John Carpenter, written by Bruce A. Evans and Reynold Gideon. Stars Jeff Bridges, Carrie Allen, Charles Martin Smith, Richard Jekyll, and Robert Phelan. And that is going to be on Hulu, Sling TV, Amazon Prime is where I found it personally. So, and Philo, I don't even know what that last one was. But those are all the things it's on. I know nothing about this movie, but I saw on Amazon it had a 4.5 stars. And I'm like, that's kind of Jeff Bridges. Okay, that's
out of 5, I assume.
Yeah, out of 5. Sorry.
Okay.
But yeah, that's gonna. I know nothing about this movie. I didn't even know it was John Carpenter. I just saw Jeff Bridges and I'm like, let's Let's do it.
Yeah, it's got Karen Allen from Raiders of the Lost Ark as well.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little worried when you said Starman because that sounds like a terrible movie.
It does, and that's also why I wanted it. I was like, let's go.
So we'll see. I'm sure it'll prove us wrong with all these high ratings.
Hopefully.
So our assignment for next week is Starman. Thank you everyone for listening. You can check out our website, www.KeystoneFilmReview.com. On Instagram, we are Keystone_film. _review, Twitter, Keystone_film, Facebook, Keystone Film Review, YouTube, Keystone Film Review. We have a new video on there reacting to the Zack Snyder cut Justice League trailers. Check that out. And on Letterboxd, I am Mike KFR.
And I'm Glenn KFR.
And that will do it until next week when we watch Starman. Jeff Bridges in space.
There's a starman named Jeff Bridges.
No, that's
He's bowling in the distance, killing the Milky Way with his balls.
Oh boy. Okay, bye.
Bye.